Discerning truth in a sea of lies. Live from Kalispell, Montana, it's Critical Disclosure Radio with your host, Jim White.
Okay, I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio. Thanks so much for joining us here today on this 8th day of March 2022. I believe all the streams are working properly here, and we do appreciate you joining us. I just started the Podbean. We are on YouTube again for now. We'll see what happens there. We're on Twitch TV, also Rumble, and Facebook. And, of course, Brighteon Radio. That's brighteonradio.com. Brighteonradio.com. It looks like you may be having some issues, perhaps, with the Foxhole. We're on Foxhole as well. We'll see. We'll hope that comes back. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us here today on the broadcast. We appreciate you tuning in today on this cold day, snowy day. It snowed overnight, which is subject to do in any time in Montana. I found out it can snow overnight. And it does at times, but I think it's all going to be melted away here in the next couple of days. So we're going to talk about some things today I think that are kind of important. We're going to go back over some, like I did yesterday in some aspect. We're going to talk about the plan that they have put in place with their own words. There's not going to be, let me make sure that, okay, we're good on the volume. There's not going to be any disputing. When you hear what they've been talking about for 50, 60 years now, and you see what's going on today, you realize that this is all just part of the bigger plan. It's incredible to me that how they've been able to pull this stuff off as effectively as they have. They've had their hiccups along the way, but generally speaking, they've done a really, really good job. Good morning, Carla. They've done a really good job of duping all of us. And we're going to point some of that out here today. What I want to do before I get started on this broadcast and get into it too deeply, I want to bring up a document here that I think is important to look at, sort of in context of what we're doing here going forward. And this is, of course, looks like we're freezing up there on Facebook. It's occasionally I think is also Rumble stops the audio stops on Rumble for some reason. I don't know why, but it does nonetheless. Okay, we're going to look at the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, if you've seen this before. If you haven't, it's probably a good idea to revisit this every once in a while to realize what's going on here. And I don't even know what website this is from. BeliefNet. It really doesn't matter. This is the 10 planks, so it really doesn't matter what you get it from. It's correct. 10 planks of communism. Now, think as we're reading these 10 planks, as I'm reading these 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, I want you to put that in perspective, if you can, about today, modern day, today, and make up your own mind. But you let me know if you don't think that what we're talking about here with these 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto are happening right now, currently, as we speak here in America. So let's go over and check this out. 10 Planks of Communism by Karl Marx. Number 1, the abolition of private property in land and application of all rents of land to public purpose. Dr. Eliot's comments. Now, Dr. Eliot, I believe, is the guy that runs this website, because he said he follows this with his comments. So one can only assume that Dr. Eliot, and I don't know who Dr. Eliot is, he is the guy that runs this website, or at least is commenting on this particular article. Dr. Eliot's comment. This is where eminent domain comes into the picture, and even property taxes. Once you own your property outright by paying off your mortgage, you still don't technically own it, because the government could jack up property taxes so high that it makes it unaffordable to remain. Now, what Dr. Eliot says is true. If you don't pay you can have your home completely paid off, and if you fail to pay your property taxes, then the state can come and take your home and take it on a tax sale and sell your home to get the money back for the taxes. So do you ever really own it? Let's go over to part number 2, a heavy progressive or graduated income tax. This doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation, but we'll go over it anyway. Dr. Elliott's comment: marginal tax rates increasing as income goes up is a graduated income tax. This is in opposition to a more fair tax like a national sales tax or flat tax, where a person is not taxed at a higher rate the more income they earn. That's what a progressive income tax is. The more you earn, the more you're taxed. Number 3, the abolition of all rights of inheritance. And you see the estate taxes and the death taxes were put in place for that. Confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. Dr. Elliott's comments: there's nothing more. This is nothing more than government seizures, IRS property confiscation, and the 1997 Crime Terrorist Bill, which calls for the imprisonment of terrorists, but also for those who speak out against the government. Your life is the most valuable property you have, but the government has the right to take it away because of things that you may say. And we're going to talk a little bit about the censorship that goes on here a little bit later as we go forward. This is a very long explanation. And let's move over to number 5 here. The 5th plank of the Communist Manifesto: centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. Dr. Elliott's comments: this is an easy one. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 created the Federal Reserve, and now the government owns many of the country's largest banks via bailout money. Government control of private industry is just a polite way of saying fascism. Centralize the means of communication and transportation in the hands of the state. Of course, you know all these into the FAA, FCC, Federal Trade Commission, all these commissions that are set up, and that's the specific. That centralizes everything. It centralizes communication, transportation. And most everything now is centralized. Centralization's not good, folks. Centralization's bad. They sell it as it's good, but it's not good. It's not long before you're centralized, right? Number 7, extensions of factories and instruments of production owned by the state. The bringing into cultivation of wastelands and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with the common plan. Dr. Elliott's comments: recent events have made this one very disturbing. On June 9th, 2011, President Obama signed into law Executive Order 13575, in which the intent is to seize greater power over food, fiber, and energy. Of course, we know this is something that this is not new news. This is something that we've talked about before. You better believe they're going to come in and they're going to come and seize stuff from you. If they think that you've got abundance, they will come and take it from you if they can find it. That's for sure. All right, making sure we're good here. Okay, we're good. Let's go back here. We're almost finished with here. I think we're number 7. Let's go back here to number 8. Equal obligation of all to work and the establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. Dr. Elliott's comments: because of high inflation and higher taxes, our society has been thrust into a dual-income family at the minimum. In many instances, both husband and wife have multiple jobs. Number 9, the combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by a more equitable distribution of the population over the county. Now, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries. Have you ever heard of, big agri, big pharma, right? This is where they do exactly that. They do exactly number 9. They combine agriculture and manufacturing, and they want to abolish the distinction between town and country. Number 10, free education for all children in government schools and abolition of children's factory labor in its present form. Combination of education with industrial production. Dr. Elliott's comments: the public school system and the Department of Education indoctrinate our kids into the agenda that the federal government wants for our children. Both the National Department of Education and state-level departments of education adhere to an outcome-based education model where excellence is not rewarded and lackluster performance is not dealt with in the proper manner, so kids don't get their feelings hurt. The whole standard of equalization is drilled into our kids' heads through public school system, so by the time they graduate, they are socialized. This is the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, folks. This is what they are continuing to try to implement, as you can see, by just looking around at what's going on these days. I mean, look at those, look at how many of them. Well, I see other people have engaged here on Facebook. I had to refresh the page. Thanks. Well, good morning, ladies. Good to see you. Excuse me. As we can see, the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto is working. It's coming to fruition. Now let's move over here. This is something that was sent around by Connie Reguli this morning here. Let's look here. This is from a book called New World Order. It sounds an awful lot like what I just read here. We're going to take a quick break after this. This new structure will redistribute property from the have nations and will give it to the have-not nations. The New World Order will include changes in the family. Homosexual marriage will be legalized. Parents will not be allowed to raise their children. Quote unquote, the state will, in parentheses. All women will be employed by the state and not allowed to be homemakers. Divorce will become exceedingly easy, and monogamous marriage will be slowly phased out. In the workplace, the government will become the owner of all factors of production. The private ownership of property will be outlawed. Religion will be outlawed, and believers will be either eliminated or imprisoned. There will be a new religion, the worship of man and his mind. All will believe in the new religion. The United States will play a major role in bringing it to the world. This is out of a book in 1989 called The New World Order. I believe that was 1989 by Ralph Epperson, A. Ralph Epperson. Again, much like the Rockefeller quotes from yesterday, this has all been laid out and exposed. They've said what they're going to do. They've put it on paper. They've written it down. They've prophesized it. They've had meetings on it. They've had consortiums. They create forums. They create worldwide organizations, international organizations. What more do you need to know? And I'm going to be, after the break, I'm going to be playing a short 2 or 3 minute video clip here from Aldous Huxley, the author of The Brave New World. And we're going to hear what Aldous Huxley has to say about things. And then we're going to hit a couple more of these news stories, folks. What a world we're living in. It's amazing. I mean, I knew things were going to get bad, but it's just dystopic. It really is. Some of the stuff I even covered yesterday on the show and some of the stuff I'm going to cover here. Appreciate you looking in here on the broadcast. This is Critical Disclosure Radio coming to you live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Richard Mack will be here tomorrow, and Kurt McKenzie will be here Friday. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back after these brief messages here on Critical Disclosure Radio. I'm your host, James White. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Heaven's Harvest Emergency Survival Food. Folks, as you can probably tell from watching the news, there's about to be a real big food shortage in this country. The trucker strike all across the world, especially here in the United States and Canada, is going to stop the food from flowing in here. There's no better time than right now to plant a garden for this spring. Spring is just around the corner, and you can save on shipping over at heavensharvest.com by going to heavensharvest.com and typing in Jim at checkout. Now, all you need to do is buy an heirloom seed vegetable kit or any food bucket and type in Jim at checkout, and you'll receive free shipping. Folks, don't wait. There's not much time left before the food supply is literally going to be shut down. We see this on the news every day. It's time to take your food security in your own hands. Do that by going to heavensharvest.com, picking up an heirloom vegetable seed kit, type in Jim at checkout. heavensharvest.com.
7K Metals is legacy. They help you leave a legacy for your family. Reasonable and affordable. Anyone can own gold and silver. It creates great generational wealth and residual passive income. No minimum or maximum order. 7K Metals has a Better Business Bureau A+ rating. It's about leaving a legacy for your family. It's about helping people. Now is the time to find out more information about protecting yourself. Call Carla at 406-855-2761. That's 406-855-2761. Today is a great time to buy gold and silver as a hedge against poor government decisions and potential economic collapse if history repeats itself. Take control of your financial future. Call Carla at 406-855-2761. 406-855-2761. Call now, 7K Metals, and ask about your legacy.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Legacy and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest are known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
Okay, thanks for hanging out with the break. I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio, and we're coming to you live here on this 8th day of March 2022. And, you run out to the truck to grab something during the break, and your glasses get all dark. It's I like these transition lenses, but I got to remember to take them off if I do that. At any rate, thanks so much for joining us here today on the broadcast. We appreciate hanging on after the break. Okay, we're going to play a quick clip here from Aldous Huxley. He is the author of the Brave New World. And again, folks, this is, I think, a 1962 speech, I believe. And he lays it all out, of course, as they always do. He lays it right out. And if you haven't heard this yet, or you're not familiar with what their plans are for us, then this is going to be rather enlightening for you. So let me pop this clip in here. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes.
That if you are going to control any population for any length of time, you must have some measure of consent. It's exceedingly difficult to see how pure terrorism can function indefinitely. It can function for a fairly long time, but I think sooner or later you have to bring in an element of persuasion, an element of getting people to consent to what is happening to them. Well, it seems to me that the nature of the ultimate revolution with which we are now faced is precisely this, that we are in process of developing a whole series of techniques which will enable the controlling oligarchy, who have always existed and presumably always will exist, to get people actually to love their servitude. This is seems to me the ultimate in malevolent revolution, shall we say. And this is a problem which has interested me for many years, and about which I wrote 30 years ago a fable, The Brave New World, which is essentially the account of a society making use of all the devices at that time available, and some of the devices which I imagined to be possible, making use of them in order to, first of all, to standardize the population, to iron out inconvenient human differences, to create so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system. And since then I have continued to be extremely interested in this problem, and I have noticed with increasing dismay that a number of the predictions which were purely fantastic when I made them 30 years ago have come true or seem in process of coming true, that a number of techniques about which I talked seem to be here already, and that there seems to be a general movement in the direction of this kind of ultimate revolution, this method of control by which people can be made to enjoy a state of affairs which, by any decent standard, they ought not to enjoy.
Well, there you go, folks. I don't know how I can say it any better than super globalist Aldous Huxley said, of course, author of The Brave New World. He's pretty much laid it out. The plan that they're trying to put in place is where people will love their servitude. Now, let's jump over with that in mind, with that fresh in your mind. Let's jump over here to some of these quotes by the World Economic Forum. You remember this one, right? The Great Reset. You will own nothing and be happy. Remember that one? You will own nothing and be happy, according to Klaus Schwab. Is that another way of saying that people will love their servitude? They'll get used to a way of living that they otherwise shouldn't be getting used to. This is back in 1962 is when that Huxley speech that I played, it's from, 1962. What is that? 60 years? Again, math's not my strong suit. 60 years ago? 60 years ago, they're talking about getting people to love their servitude. And we jump forward to 2020. By 2030, everybody, you will own nothing and be happy. You know, again, folks, here's where we're at with me here. I can barely, believe or trust anything that I see on the news. I have to understand this. So what I'm going to try to do, if I can, when I'm not talking to guests, I'm going to only use certainly trusted news sources, but I'm just going to try to put out these things in their own words. I mean, just their own quotes. Just Rockefeller alone, could probably comprise a couple of different shows in the actions that they've performed and what they've done. So, pardon me, you can't trust the fake news these days. But, when you go back to the actual quotes of the globalists and they lay it all out for you, and they have like I said, the Georgia Guidestones, and look at the history of eugenics and the plan there. I mean, this has been in place for a long, long time. Yes, Kelly, the fluoride in the water. This is by design. Now I'm going to get here in the story. Speaking of fluoride in the water, let me go over here to this. First, before we do that, okay, let me finish this up here, and then we'll go to the fluoride in the water. We'll talk about the water. Let's look at this one more quote. Speaking of the globalism, the World Economic Forum. Humans are now hackable animals and will be re-engineered. The coronavirus epidemic is the moment it was achieved. This is from the head of the, he's an advisor to Klaus Schwab, who issued a chilling warning that humans no longer possess free will and are set to be re-engineered by Bill Gates. This is Klaus Schwab's guy here. Okay, so let's make this a little bit larger for the video viewers here so you can see. And the title of this from The Guardian is Now Hackable Animals and Will Be Re-Engineered. Humans are now hackable animals, according to an advisor of Klaus Schwab, who issued the chilling warning that humans are no longer possess free will and are set to be re-engineered by Bill Gates. Same guy that said you will own nothing and like it. Right? From the same guy, from the same group, I should say. World Economic Forum. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And then revert back to Huxley and 60 years ago, you will love your servitude. None of this has happened by accident, and people will just they can't break this cognitive dissonance to understand you're under a spell. It's a trick. It's like a magic spell. These people are wizards. They're warlocks. They're witches. They've got you under a spell. Break the spell. Break the spell. Break the spell. They've said it 3 times. Hopefully it'll jar you loose. Break the spell you're under. These people have this planned for years and years and generations. We were talking earlier about the water. I wanted to get to this here before we go to, we got a break in about 5 minutes. It's a network break. Half of U.S. adults were exposed to harmful lead levels as kids, studies find. Researchers call findings infuriating as team finds significant impact on cognitive development. You think lead in the water is going to have an impact on cognitive development? Yeah, probably. I'm thinking yes. Oops. I don't want to do that. Half of U.S. adults were exposed to harmful lead levels as kids. And you wonder why people can't freaking think. Some of these people can't put a sentence together. You know? I mean, talking about the deliberate dumbing down of America. So you put the fluoride in the water and you got lead in the water. As I said before, it's a wonder we're not all in a corner drooling like babbling idiots because of everything that they've done. And it's not even to mention the GMO that was mentioned earlier, not to mention the stuff they're spraying in the air. Here in Kalispell, they drive along at night, because I'm here at wee hours of the morning because I don't sleep well. So I'll be here at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at times, and there'll be trucks driving by, spraying stuff on the street, when it's cold because they're trying to, I guess, mitigate the ice potential. But what's that stuff that they're spraying? Big trucks, big tanks drive by spraying stuff on the street. Streets all wet, middle of the night. Who knows what that stuff is? I mean, I'm sure it's not organic. It's not plant-based. It's not like a plant-based, whatever these things they're called, these burgers or whatever they're making. I've never had one. No, didn't intend to either. So you got that going for us. So 170 million Americans who were adults were exposed to harmful levels of lead. Isn't that nice? Between 1940 and 2015. Egads. Just look at those people in Flint. Are you kidding me? I think Legionnaire's disease is what the outcome is of high exposures to lead. And I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm sure it's a neurological disorder because it damages your brain, right? The lead. I think it even eats holes in your brain or does something detrimental to your brain. Like we don't have enough problems as it is putting sentences together and having, stringing a thought along. Now we got to battle with all the toxic chemicals and everything that they're putting into food and the water and the air. I'll tell you, I mean, and here's one good side of it. There's one good side of it, though, I have to say. It just proves the fact that human species are hard to kill. We're hard to kill generally. I mean, look, they couldn't do it with everything they've done. They couldn't do it with lead in the water. They couldn't do it with the spraying in the air. They couldn't do it with the GMO. They couldn't do it with the fluoride. The population thrived. So what they have to do? They had to go around and jab everybody with poison, or at least attempt to. That's how bad they want to kill us, and that's how bad they're failing at kill us. So instead of slow killing us, they want to fast kill us now because we're becoming awake, because we're aware of what's going on, right? Now the population, again, the con is falling away. The con is falling away. When the con gets exposed and the truth comes out, these people are going to be doing some. That's why I said brace for impact. Brace for impact. We'll talk about that on the other side. Assume crash position because that's what's coming next. We're in the final stages of the absolute crash of the United States economy. Preferably the civilization and the community, the way of life. The society, I guess, a breakdown of society. There's already a breakdown in a lot of areas. There's already a breakdown in, shipping and certain customer service areas, and pretty soon there'll be breakdown in food supplies, and then there'll be breakdowns in relationships between communities, and when people don't eat, they don't have anything to drink, and they don't know when they're going to be able to eat or drink next, they get a little upset. And they're going to use that to their advantage. We're going to take a network break here. We'll be back after these brief messages on Critical Disclosure Radio. I'm your host, James White, criticaldisclosure.com, northwestlibertynews.com. We'll be back after these brief messages. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging out for the break. I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio. We're coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana. It is the 8th day of March 2022. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, on a variety of networks, including Foxhole, Facebook, Rumble, Podbean, and, of course, Brighteon Radio, brighteonradio.com. brighteonradio.com, and we're delighted to be affiliated with Mike Adams and all the great work that he's doing over there with all of his different platforms that he is getting going, helping people get the word out, and we certainly do stand behind Mike and thank him for the honor of being on his radio show, his radio network. Appreciate him hosting the show. Okay, let's get back here to some of the news, and what you're seeing here, folks, is this always happens in a tyranny. Cryptos slide on news. Biden to sign crypto executive order this week. Understand they realize that their dollar-backed system, which allows them to control the world, is failing. It's on the way out. There's nothing they can do to stop that. That is baked into the cake. We talked about the U.S. debt clock, $30 trillion in debt. No way that can be paid off. So what they're going to do is they are going to start regulating cryptocurrencies, if they can regulate them out of existence, or get them to the point where the regulations are so onerous It's so prohibitive that people can't really purchase cryptocurrencies and transact in cryptocurrencies. Now, I don't know how successful they're going to be. A lot of what they do is based upon threats and intimidation. So the likely scenario that the federal government is going to engage in is they're going to put out their new executive orders, and there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to ignore them. They're going to find out who those people are. They're going to arrest them, make a big deal out of it, make a big show, accuse them of all kinds of crimes, that they're going to spend 30 years in prison. And what they'll do is they'll chill they really won't have the authority, not the authority, but the ability to police everyone. But as they always do, is they make examples of one or two people, and then everybody else falls in line and polices themselves. And they don't really need a force. The population becomes a force multiplier because of the intimidation and the expose, or the exposure, I should say, of a criminal element. And they really play that. Of course, they get the media on board, and what they've done, they put it everywhere. They publish it everywhere. They cover the trial. They cover the verdict, and they really make a big deal out of it because they want to scare people into not acting. So not violating the law. That's typically how they do things. Now, I don't know what's up their sleeve now. Who knows? They may set a nuclear bomb off and just and wipe out the whole freaking United States for all the heck I know. At any rate, they're going to try becoming after Bitcoin and Ethereum, because they can't understand. They have a counterfeit money printing network going right now that's been pretty good to them. They've been able to buy up the world and bribe pretty much the leaders of all countries, save a few, with this funny money currency, this printed out of air fake money that is counterfeit. It's counterfeit. They don't want other people, in their view, they want to corner the market on the currency counterfeiting scheme. They want to be the only ones doing it. So, I interviewed Bernard von Nothaus, I think his name, Bernard von Nothaus, where he had the Liberty Dollar. This is about 5 or 6 years ago. I interviewed Bernard von Nothaus on Liberty Brothers radio show, and they actually arrested him not very long after that and confiscated all of his stuff because he was trying to put out a Liberty Dollar, and he was competing against the counterfeit Federal Reserve note. And they don't like you competing against their counterfeit money system because that infringes upon it. There's like the mafia, right? If the mafia is running, a protection racket on all the businesses in town, and you move new into town, and you go in and try to take over some of their territory, or you start muscling in on some of their, some of their victims, what they're going to do is they're going to come at you with force and beat you down and kick you out of the neighborhood and tell you, hey, you're not going to be operating in our neighborhood. This is our turf. So this is basically run just like a mafia. The government's like a mafia. This government that we have here, this is not for you. Do you understand this, right? This government is not designed for you, to protect you, to enrich you, to give you opportunities. None of this stuff. None of it. They're not here for any of that stuff at all. They're like a foreign entity that is infiltrated. They're like a virus that's gotten into someone's body. That's what they're, like a virus. That's what they are. They're going to kill the host like a virus would. They're going to try to kill the host, and that's what they're trying to do now. These people they're vermin. They're lower than vermin. We have to stand up en masse. Who are we going to let the government regulate your private money that you have? I mean, when are we going to say we're done? When am I going to say we're done, folks? When are we going to say we're not putting up with it anymore? How many more quotes do I have to read by them? How many more radio shows do I have to do and others have to do before people realize? I mean, it's curtains for all of us if we don't stand up and act. So this is what they're going to do. They're going to go after us financially. They're going to punish us in every single solitary way that they can. Now, but you want to talk about the tyranny ramping up to a new level. How do you like these apples? You like apples? How do you like these apples? Let me fix the screen here. This is what they're going to be doing now. This is the next thing. Truly frightening. This is from Natural News. Feds give tech companies until May 2nd to turn over COVID-19 misinformation. And let's read a little bit from this article here. Let me make this bigger here so that people on the side of the video side can see this. 2 news stories this week reveal how the federal government plans to treat COVID misinformation as a crime and what role tech companies will play in rounding up the quote-unquote criminal. 2 U.S. senators this week introduced a bill to provide tech companies cover via legislation that could make it possible for Congress to legalize censorship and criminalize First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. So what they're trying to do is they're asking for detailed information about the demographics of demographics exposed to misinformation. So what they want to do is they want to come and basically criminalize your speech. They want to criminalize your speech and claim that if you're putting out, do you think they're going to do? Arrest Joe Rogan? Do you think they'll do that? You think they're going and arrest Joe Rogan and bust into his studio and kick the door down and hold him down and handcuff him and walk him out to the car? That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting thing to see. COVID misinformation. Who's going to be the one that's going to determine what's misinformation? It says right here, we learned that the federal government wants citizens to start sharing information on misinformation. This is right out of Stalin's playbook. That's what Stalin used to do. Do you realize that, right? So if you were lucky enough to discover that one of your neighbors was an operative in the Stalin government, under Stalin's rule, you get half of his goods. You get half of their belongings if you root out an anti-communist or an anti-Stalinist. So what happens is they had people in the neighborhood spying on each other, and you don't like a guy, or you make a pass at his wife and he doesn't appreciate it. What do? You call up the Stasi's, or you call up the police, and you tell him that he's a subversive, and you notice that he was doing anti-Stalinistic things. And of course, they don't really need very much prompting to kick people's door down back in those days and round people up. That's sort of what they did. So you had people spying on people. I mean, the neighbors spying on neighbors. This is what happens. Do you understand? This is a good example. And let's go back to the paragraph, just what I was saying earlier. The feds are asking detailed information about the demographics exposed to misinformation, allowing them to determine who's reading what and to obtain their names. We learned that the federal government wants citizens to start sharing information on misinformation. Do you understand? They can't, again, this goes back to what I just said. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough agents to police everybody. So what they're counting on is for us to police ourselves. They're counting on the population to be the force multiplier. See, they don't need to have deputies or sheriffs or these other asshats in any of every district, because if they have the people, and they started that with the see something, say something. So this is the conditioning. This is way out. I mean, years ago they start conditioning people for this. See something, say something. See something, say something. They're so conditioned to it now. So see something, say something. If you see a child that seems to be in distress and the person that they're with doesn't seem to be their parent, or they're giving you signals that they may be getting harm or in danger, yes, that's where you see something, say something, or you go up and punch the guy in the mouth, something like that, right? Now that's a little drastic, but I'm not recommending that. But at any rate, that's the see something, say something type of situation where you would speak up. Somebody's got a Gadsden flag hanging in their bedroom, and you walk by at night, and the lights on in their room, and you can see the Gadsden flag hanging on their wall. So you call up Homeland Security and say, I think that's not what it's designed for. It's used for that, and they love it when they do that. They love it when these statists do that type of thing, right? But that's not really what it's designed for. This is the total. I mean, we're all under mind control. Not all of us, those of us that can see, but there's some of us that can see. But generally speaking, the population is under mind control. I don't know how else to explain it except it's a spell. It's like these people are like magicians or wizards, or they something. I don't know what they're doing. Somehow they're able to have a hold on the majority of the population. And I say majority, there's a lot of people waking up. But the people that are awake, in my view, the people that are fully awake and know what's going on are not in the majority. We're still in the minority. We're still in the minority. Now, is there enough of us to wake up the rest? Well, of course, we have no other choice. But we're not in the majority. We're in the minority still, unfortunately. Let's go over to this next article here and talk about this for a minute. Of course, this goes back to what we were saying before about the Communist Manifesto, right? Wisconsin School District, parents are not entitled to know if their kids are trans. That's right. You are not entitled to know about your children. Who the heck do you think you are? Who do you think you are? I mean, what do you think this is? 1970? How dare you? How dare you want to know about your own children? And the thing is, folks, the scary thing is they say these things where like they know they're not worried about repercussions because they know that their system's going to be behind them. There's no stopping them. The system is not going to stop the system. You understand? Working inside the system and hoping that the system will fix itself, that's not a good plan. Nope. I said it once, I've said it 100 times. The system is broken. We need to take an axe to the root. That's where the problem is. The problem is with the system. We can't repair the system. We can't rehab the system. We can't put new people in place in this system and think, oh, we're going to do a whole new vote in 2022, and we're going to do a Republican sweep, and we're going to put these same people that have nothing but an unlimited quest for more power and more control and a higher office, right? We're going to put these people, these people back in the same corrupt system and hope. We're just going to roll the dice. We're going to put these people back into a corrupt system, back into where lobbyists run things, back when think tanks and back into where think tanks and the Council on Foreign Relations and the Brookings Institute and all these things, they run things, right? They run things. That's the system. It doesn't matter who you vote in there. If they get back to the same corrupt system, nothing is going to change. Folks, I just read you what is going to happen. What their plan is. What their plan is 60 years ago. How many times have we had complete Republican control of the House and the Senate and the presidency, or complete Democrat control of the House, the Senate? How long have we had that? How many times have we had that since 1960? Has anything changed? Nope. The agenda continues to move forward because they're working within the system. The system is designed to have the exact outcome that we're having now. This is what has to go. They've taken over everything, and they've installed their corrupt system, their corrupt way of doing things, their methods, their methodology, their terminology, their words, their leaders, right? They put the people in place. It's their system. It needs to be our system. It needs to be our system again. That's what it needs to be, folks. We're never going to overcome this tyranny working within the same system that created the tyranny. It's like you're going to have the same people that created the problem fix the problem. Do you understand? This is the definition of insanity. It's the definition of insanity. We're all insane. We're all insane for thinking that we're going to be able to change the corrupt system from within the system, folks. So in Wisconsin, if you're a parent in Wisconsin, sit down and shut up. Disturbing leftist, this is out of the Gateway Pundit. Leftist activist organizes sex ed summer camps for 8 to 10-year-olds in Indiana. We'll teach using condoms on all insertables and explore sensations to discover what feels good. 8 to 10 years old. 8 to 10-year-olds. Again, 8 to 10 years old, 10-year-olds, they're going to teach them how to use condoms on all insertables. What parent would send their child to this summer camp is what I want to know. I mean, is that the same parent that would buy $1,000 farts in a jar? Probably. Probably same ilk. Probably that same demographic. And we talked about that yesterday, that TikTok gal that's selling her bottled, bath water or what is it? Not bong water, hot tub water. Selling hot tub water for $300 a bottle or $200 a bottle, and methane gas expelled from her internal organs for $1,000. I mean, these are the same people that send their kids to summer camp for 8, 10-year-old sex ed for 8 to 10-year-olds. I don't know what else to say. I'm almost out of words here. I just don't even know what to say. Of course, this gives you a nice heartwarming feeling. 9/11 terrorist known as the 20th hijacker released from Gitmo by the Biden regime will be transferred to home country of Saudi Arabia for mental health treatment. The 20th hijacker released from Gitmo, but all those guys are still sitting in jail from J6 for trespassing. Trespassing. They've been in jail still. They're still in jail. The 9/11 guy's out of jail. The hijacker's out of jail. The trespassers, with the doors open, right? With the doors open and people waving them in, they're still in jail. They're taking photos inside the Capitol. Boy, that's grounds for. I mean, surprised they haven't been put to death. Well, the one girl was, right? One girl was shot to death right there in the auditorium or the atrium. Of course. Safe space set up. This is from the College Fix. Safe space for white theater students set up at Fordham University. Safe space. They're going to fight racism by creating a safe space inside Fordham University. If this is the type of education that our current crop of young adults are being subject to and being encouraged to participate in, we don't have a whole lot of hope, folks. Do you understand this? Do you understand this situation? It's bad, right? I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. You don't have to be a fearmonger. Look around to what's going on. I mean, you understand we're on the brink of living through a time that historically is it's not good. I mean, to say it's not good grossly underestimates what we're facing. Not good is the easy way of letting you know that we're in for some pretty hard times here. It on the horizon. What we need to do is you need to prepare, folks. You need to prepare. If you don't go to patriotprepared.com, go to somewhere else, get some food storage, get some water filtration, get some toilet kits, because that causes a lot of death and disease when people don't properly dispose of their waste. You should get a couple of months worth of food, 2 or 3 months worth of food. Having something besides the dollar. We just talked about cryptocurrency here earlier. Forget about that. If they cut the electricity off and the power goes down, what are you going to do? Gold and silver still is going to be the best way to go. And you can go to Carlos 7K Metals. That it's one of our sponsors. Go right to 7K Metals. The commercial runs here on the broadcast, and put your Federal Reserve notes into something that's going to not continue to just depreciate in value as the dollar is right now. Gas went up 10 cents overnight here. Right here in Kalispell, there's a gas station that I pass on the way to the studio here every day, and it went up 10 cents overnight. And that is probably 40 cents or something this week, in the last week or 10 days. So This is not going to get any better. This is going to get worse. Everything's going to go up in price. And the dollars in your pocket are continuing to lose value. If you are here in the Kalispell area, visit the corner shop there right now, south of town, around the courthouse. If you need car repairs, that's a local advertiser here. And if you need precious metals, go to 7kmetals.com/Carla J. 7kmetals.com/Carla J. I think we have one more story here. And of course, we knew this all along. We've been saying this for a long time. Again, from the College Fix, 30% of colleges are not worth the cost, researchers conclude. Updated, students will be better off not going to certain colleges. This is something that we've talked about for a long time. You can learn, if you pick up a trade when you get out of high school and you do an apprenticeship and you stay current and you work hard and you get under a good apprentice, you become a apprentice under a master craftsman or something, you're going to do far better off than going to college. But that's up to you. That's your decision to make. But think about other options besides dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into an education it's not going to give you that payback for a long time and a big bunch of debt. We're out of time here, folks. Thanks for looking in. I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio, hosted by Brighteon Radio, criticaldisclosure.com, northwestlibertynews.com. If you want to find all the links to all the social media sites, go to libertylinks.io/Jim's Links. Until next time, this is James White from Critical Disclosure Radio, saying bye now.